let you think about me.
Recently, I've been framing my to-do list as missions that I need to complete, which makes my life seem more like a video game that I used to play as a kid as opposed to just me doing my daily tasks. The first and the most important mission today was dropping off samples of our soup mug to Happy Out and 3FE in town with one of my colleagues. We then headed off to a meeting before I had to rush back to my side of town to go to a dentist appointment where I discovered that I needed 3 fillings. I got home, had a soup mug, and I had to fix some presentations and edit some more videos for work, and suddenly it was already the evening time. I like finishing off my day at the gym, even though I wasn't really feeling it today, so I kept it light with some abs, some stretching. There wasn't a single person in the gym, otherwise I definitely wouldn't have been recording myself in there. And finally I got home, I washed my hair, and I popped into bed really early, like I was in bed at 10 PM this evening.
My life was a mess, but I could clean my room.
Ireland is one of those countries where you will truly experience 4 seasons in one day. I left for Galway at 6:30 in the morning, it was beautifully sunny, and then as soon as I came home at like 6 PM that evening, it was all grey and cloudy and wet. Although I really can't complain about anything because my mum went to M&S today and got me the sushi, and also the bake-off starting today, which is my favourite time of the year.
Rude, 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 rude.
When I'm on the road,
Rude, rude.
I see stuff going by.
The internet has decided that baking banana bread for your boyfriend is the equivalent of getting your girlfriend flowers. And honestly, I can't even disagree because I love banana bread. Baking has and will always be my favourite form of telling people that I love them. And yeah, to be honest, I would actually say that getting baked goods is better than flowers. Although that depends on the flowers. And the baked good, I suppose. Anyways, that is besides the point. My friend was celebrating some good news today, so I made these banana muffins. I didn't really have enough for a banana bread, but they're still one of my favourite desserts. I think one of the great things about banana bread is that you can customise it however you want. I put chocolate in mine, and everyone appreciates a banana bread. A lot of people think that vegetables and cake don't mix, but personally I think that carrot cake is one of the best cakes. Funnily enough, it actually used to be used as a substitute for sugar in the Middle Ages because sugar was too expensive. It then became popular again during World War II in England due to rationing. And it's been a baking staple ever since. At least it definitely has in my household. I hate using the word moist, but that is exactly what these cupcakes are. And cream cheese buttercream is genuinely top tier. I was actually quite impressed by how good my piping turned out on these. And they've all disappeared from my pantry in 24 hours. I sometimes have to go to Galway for work, and every single time I go, I realise why people love it so much. A lot of the appeal has to do with all the cute restaurants, cafes and shops within the town. Most of them are independently owned as well. And they always have the nicest stuff in them. There's this Italian place that has 2 branches in the city, and we went to one of them for lunch and one of them for dinner simply because we love it so much. But even going through the town, everyone is so friendly and it just looks so beautiful as well. Although I won't lie, the weather is usually worse here, but it makes up for it in every other aspect. I think I might just associate the town with really good food, and that is why I love it so much. But I also love being close to the sea and going and walking along the prom. When I was a kid, I used to write letters to companies all the time with like suggestions of new products that I wanted to bring out. Sometimes I would just write to them telling them that I really liked their product. Sometimes I would write them with suggestions. Other times I was like, you need to change this. I think I was like 9 years old when I started doing this, and I continued to do it for like 3 years. In all fairness, sometimes they would write me back and sometimes they would give me free stuff as well. But honestly, I really should have gotten a hobby. Young me really thought that the best way to use my time was to write to all these companies and suggest what I thought they should do, as if they're not already making like trillions of euros. That was my idea of a hobby at 10 years old.
Show a little love, babe. Shine a little light on me. Show a little love, babe. Shine a little light on me. Show a little love, babe. Shine a little light on me. Show a little love, babe.
Every day my family wake up to freshly baked goods in the house, mainly because I can't stay asleep past 7 AM and I also don't know how to relax. And that is why I'm making chocolate cupcakes at like 6 AM. The whole family benefits from it anyway, so it's fine. I dusted off my KitchenAid to make these. Don't know what I would do without it, to be honest. And threw them in the oven. Then pretty much straight after I went out for a run. I have 0 fitness levels at the moment, so it was quite a slow 5k. But it did get me out the house, and then I got ready, headed out for some brunch. I had this acai bowl, it was really yummy. And then went to pick flowers for the garden, although I didn't really pick, I just kind of stood there and watched my parents do it. I've been keeping well up to date with the F1 this year, but the Belgian Grand Prix was delayed by an hour because of all the rain, so I fixed my room up, and then I also made the buttercream for my cupcakes. And then by the time all of that was sorted, the race was back on again, and it was a McLaren one too, thank God. And then like 8 hours later, I actually finished the cupcakes that I had started in the morning. It is day 1 back in the motherland, and instead of unpacking my 16 boxes and 3 suitcases, I went shopping and baked instead. Someone really has to make sure that my family get fed, because every time I come back into the house there is no food anywhere. I swear there's even cobwebs growing in our cupboards. So I went to Dunn's and sorted out that problem for everyone. Here is my haul, and I really wanted to try and make some chia seeds for breakfast because apparently they're meant to be really good for you. Gut health and all that jazz. And any chia seed connoisseurs will see that there's way too much milk in this thing. Anyways, it was a massive flop, but then I moved on to make some tart. I'm really trying to bake things that I find quite difficult to make, and pastry is one of them. Also this creme patisserie, I wasn't really too sure what I was doing here, to be honest. I think I accidentally cooked my eggs, but it's fine because it all gets covered up with these beautiful strawberries. And I was actually quite impressed with myself, so I finished the day just how I started, sitting on the couch and eating. I got my nails professionally done for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I don't think I can go back. I enjoy obnoxiously texting, like, it's just so much fun. Also, I feel like it makes me look very put together. Nothing else is going right in my life, but at least my nails look well manicured. Everybody tells you that postgrad life is extremely scary, but you don't really realise how scary it is until you actually fall into it yourself. Like every other postgrad, I feel stuck in a limbo stage and I don't really know what to do with myself. So instead I do Pilates and bake to avoid my feelings, thoughts and existential crisis. It seemed way more important to learn how to make brown butter cookies than stabilise my life. So in between all my doom scrolling sessions, I got all my ingredients together, bought my favourite chocolate bar and whacked them all into a mixing bowl. Everything was going so well until I took my cookies out of the oven and I dropped them. So instead of crying over spilt milk, I cried over spilt cookies. Very typical. One thing that I wasn't prepared for when I left my uni city was how much time I was going to spend by myself. Between my dissertation, societies and my job, everything seemed quite hectic all the time. And then I was surrounded with all my friends whenever I was free. So not having that anymore is a massive adjustment, and one that a lot of people, including myself, feel extremely nervous about. So I've been relearning how to enjoy spending time with myself and being in my own head. And that's also really useful. I think it allows you to realise what your priorities are and also kind of rediscover yourself a bit. Because at the end of the day, you go into university as a little 18-year-old and you come out all ready for the world at 22, and realistically you don't feel ready at all.
God, what if when he sees me, I like him and he knows it? What if he opens up a door and I can't come?
Being back in my hometown after mostly being away for 4 years is certainly a funny experience. Not only did I acquire a lot of things, but I also became an entirely different person. However, being back here makes me feel 17 all over again, a feeling I really don't enjoy. However, the one thing that I'm really glad never changed is my family's pizza recipe. Whenever the sun comes out in Ireland, which, do you know what, isn't very often, we light the pizza oven and then we decorate these pizzas with whatever our heart desires. Usually mine desires pineapple, to be honest. There is no takeaway or restaurant that will ever beat the pizzas that my family makes. If you ask any 20-something-year-old what is the saddest day of their life, it is probably moving out of their uni town. And this is my version of that. Edinburgh is and will always be like a second home to me. I've absolutely loved being here. But I'm also happy to spend some time with my family for now. Lasagna is my favourite meal, so my mum made that for me when I came in. She also made this really yummy salad, which I devoured. And here is my beautiful lasagna being cut. I spent the rest of the day trying to distract myself, so I watched some White Lotus and I also bought some paints in Edinburgh, so I painted some cats and some flowers in the evening.
I'm gonna hit this city. Before I leave, brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack. 'Cause when I leave for the night, I ain't coming back.
Spending this much time in my childhood bedroom for the first time in 4 years feels extremely surreal. I honestly feel like I've gone back to being a 16-year-old again. And everything is like the exact same way as when I left it. Although my makeup has gotten better. Obviously I've been home the last 4 years, but this is the first time I've actually spent like a significant amount of time here. So it's definitely been an adjustment. However, it's also really nice being back with my family and spending time with them, and also doing some work for the family business, particularly on days like today because we were doing some filming in a restaurant called Kaizen, and this is just a sneak preview of what we got. It was literally incredible. Also means I can make cake whenever I want, which is pretty much every day. The one sweet treat that never lasts more than a day in this household is shortbread. The one we usually buy is this Walker's shortbread, so I wanted to attempt to recreate it today. I'm basically just trying to make the things that we would usually buy, And so was another adventure for my trusty KitchenAid. This has been in my family for 20 years and I actually don't know what we would do without it. Shortbread is super easy to make. It's literally just butter, sugar and flour all mixed together. 3 of my most favourite things. And once it's created this dough-like texture, you just stick it into a pan, roll it out. If you soften the butter like I did, then it'll be a little bit squishy. But it goes in the oven for a couple minutes, you take it out, then you score it. It's the only time that I've ever used my maths tools. And voila, you've made your own Walker's shortbread. Particularly delicious when you're working with a cup of tea, but also just as good by itself. I actually did have a lot of work to do between finishing my shortbread and heading off to the gym. Trying to get back into my fitness grind. It's not going so well, but hey, at least I'm trying. And then I settled in for the evening to watch a really tacky rom-com from 2010, which was pretty perfect to be fair. I like to think that I'm a pretty rational person sometimes, but yesterday when someone told me that this dress made me look like I was wearing a curtain, instead of doing the normal thing and, you know, ignoring them, I freaked out, went to the shop, spent 3 hours shopping, bought a new dress, and then I didn't end up wearing it, and I wore this one anyways. And now I've just returned.
Watch me party on you, yeah. Party on you, party on you, party on you, party on you, party on you.
I have never been to a coffee shop quite like this one before. With only 25 stores in the entire world, I think this might be the best coffee I've ever had in my life. Not only that, but their food menu is so good. This lemon tart was beautiful, and I had this kaya croissant, which I'd never had anything like it before in my life. Every single shop is so beautifully decorated, it feels like you're stepping into a whole new world. Of course, the highlight of every experience is the coffee that you get, and there are literally dozens that you can try on the menu, and these takeaway cups are actually the cutest things I've ever seen in my life. If this place opened up in the UK, I think I would be here every single day without fail.